All right, we're in the interview portion of today's show. We are joined by Coach Bret Bielema from the University of Illinois. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks you, gentlemen. Great to be on.
Does it feel like you're back home? Like you're back in the Big Ten where you belong?
You know, it has been very, very, I don't know if it's feeling like I'm back home, but just comfortable, right? Like being in a Big Ten. And then the part that I had no idea, I mean, I did, but I didn't. Being from Illinois and being so familiar geographically with like all the different parts of the state, like right away I knew obviously Central Illinois, I knew Chicago, I knew Southern Illinois, I knew Western Illinois. It really just kind of very unlike any place I'd ever been. You know, when I went to school at Iowa, that was new. When I went to work at Kansas State, that was new. When I went to Wisconsin, it was all new geography. So to kind of know the state laying out the way it does, that's been very comforting.
And so this is your first college stop with family in tow with the young kids. How's the family adjusting to Champaign? I hope the town's living up to the hype.
It is, Carl. We actually have a rental home here that we got into a little bit before Easter. We're about 3 months into our build, so we're building a little house here in Champaign that should be done sometime next spring. And to have my girls with me, my wife and I have 2 baby girls, that it's been absolutely awesome to kind of be in the community and let them be a part of it. And really excited for the season because I've never had both of them for a college football season. It's a pretty exciting time.
So the house build's going well. How's the program build going?
Well, they're both going in the right direction. You know, the program build, we're undefeated so far, so everybody likes us. We're real popular. Got 10 days to at least stress that one. We'll see where that goes on the 28th. But as far as the culture in this building, right, like the guys have been very, very, very open, very coachable, very responsive. I hired a really good group of coaches. Josh Whitman allowed me to have an opportunity to bring some really quality guys in here. And I've also been able to retain some guys from Lovey's staff, some guys that have been here a while that I think have been a good addition to our family and the way we kind of think and do things. So it's an exciting time. You know, it's training camp. Everybody's getting on everybody's nerves a little bit. Everybody getting a little chippy out of practice. It's an exciting time. And to have the focus for, you know, the 28th coming up on us sooner than later is kind of a nice relief in sight.
Well, you talked a little bit about the Champaign community, and I'm sure it's kind of set in on you that, you know, historically speaking, our expectations as a fan base, like it's not very high. Like if we ended up in an Outback Bowl, like we'd be tap dancing, you know, down Green Street. I'm curious, though, personally, from your perspective, coming from Arkansas, where it's like, you know, you live in the SEC, it's like championship or bust, and the expectations are so high. On a personal level, can you sense that adjustment, or has that been something on your mind as you come in, like, you know, your runway, people aren't breathing down your neck to be, why aren't we in the Big Ten championship game? Like, how does that impact you personally as you come in to build a program?
You know, Carl, I'd say first and foremost, I respect what you're saying. For me, my expectations are high, right? Like, I believe in what we, you know, can do and where we want to be. I'm not going to skip a step to get to where we want to be in the end. One of the things Josh and I commonly talked about from the time he called me to where we are today is sustained success, trying to build something over the long haul that'll be great. But as high as my expectations are, I want our players to be even higher, right? Like I want them to set a level of expectation in their own. You're only going to go as far as you believe you can go. And you know, we actually have meetings coming up here in the next 48 hours that will set season goals. And those guys are going to hopefully set some goals that I hope are lofty, right? And they want to achieve something they've never done before. And the indicator is that's happening, but obviously we got a whole schedule of games in front of us that will decide whether or not we get that done.
Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. And I'm sorry, from my perspective as like a diehard fan, like I'm interested to know, because you coming in here to us is like, this is our opportunity to get to a completely different level that like maybe we don't even know exists for Illinois football.
You know, I would say this too, like we all know we're in 2021, right? To be in a building, in my opinion, that really hasn't been discovered yet. There's been flashes, right? We're going to honor a 2001 team that obviously had great success, you know, with Coach Turner and his crew here, the same game in Nebraska opener. But again, it was these short-lived moments of success. I want to try to do something that has never been done here, right? Sustain it for success and try to build year after year of repeated good fortune. And it's been done other places. It's been done other places in this division, in this league. That I think we carry a lot of the same similar traits. So that part's got me excited, but obviously we got to have the right ingredients and make sure we mix it all together to make those things happen. But I definitely like the way it's trending.
Yeah, I don't know how HD your computer screen is, but I can see the arm hair on Carl standing up straight. Like you got him gassed up here pretty good. Now, when I think of you and your name, and I think of Wisconsin, like I can close my eyes and I know exactly what kind of game that team was going to play. Just hard-nosed defense, big boys up front, running backs, and then you had the Russell Wilson year notwithstanding, but like you could kind of set your watch to Wisconsin football because you knew their DNA. What do you plan? Is Illinois going to look similar to what you had there? Is that your goal, or have you picked up different things along the way, or what are you thinking?
There are going to be some schematic differences that are going to jump out to people right away, right? Like obviously we don't have the same roster, we don't have the same kind of makeup that we had there, but much the same when I went to Arkansas. There was a lot of things that we carried forward, but we're also uniquely different. I think one of the things that's really awesome taking this job is I had no idea that, it was going to be in the conclusion of a COVID season that allowed, a group of 41 seniors to come back, right? Like it's a group of super seniors as well as normal seniors. So it's 41 seniors, which is an astronomical number. It's the largest in college football. And with that, there's a lot of really good players who are hungry, right? And you kind of, at that point in your career, you really can't change what they are. You can definitely mold what they can do, but you can't really change physically what they been, right? And we'll mold guys and build guys a little bit more in our program over the course of the year. But for the most part, it's these 41 guys that are some of our better players and getting them to buy into what they can do on a better level than they have in the past. So I think, a guy like Isaiah Williams, who has played a lot of football here, but has been a quarterback, and all of a sudden he's a slot receiver. He's a completely different dynamic player than what he had been on the field so far as a quarterback. Tony Adams, even though he's a really good defensive player in the past, we've really let him lock into playing corner and feel his oats there and has done a really nice job during fall camp. Jake Hansen, who's been a very productive linebacker here over the last 4 years, we've kind of hopefully tried to take his game to another level on all downs, So that's the part that we got to kind of piece together and make sure we try to comes out in the right way on the 28th.
So let's pretend the guy sitting next to me, Chief here, let's just say he's like, 4-star quarterback. He's in your sweet spot. Let's say he's a Chicagoland area guy. A couple Big Ten coaches are coming at him. Historically speaking, I would say Illinois, especially the last group of guys, they talked a lot about stability and leadership and trying, we're going to put you on a path to the NFL and stuff. How would you recruit this hypothetical 4-star local Chicago guy? Like, how much has the story changed around Illinois football for you?
I would say, Chief, listen, I can't take part of anything that's been done in the past. All I can do is concentrate on the future. And if you come here, we're going to really ask you to do 3 things on a daily basis that will hopefully get you to a point at some point in your career, but also, away from the game that's going to help you, right? The first thing we're going to ask you to do is do things right? Every day you got choices all around you. You can do this, you can do that, do the right thing, and usually good things happen. Be respectful of everyone, right? This world is made up of a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different religions, different, histories, different parents, different cultures, different appetites, different diets. Be respectful and we'll all get better in a better place. And the third thing, probably the most important, is just be the best you, right? If you can come here and be the best Chief, right, that ever was, now we got a chance, man. We can work with that. So I think the part that we can do for you here at Illinois is we obviously got to respect and honor the things that have happened in the past, but what we're worried about is what's happening in the future. And it's an exciting time. We're going to build it with Illinois players. Any successful organization I've ever been around and seen has been built from the people from within. And we're going to build this with Illinois players and people that represent the University of Illinois at its finest.
Does Illinois still produce enough D1 players? Because I feel like
historically they sign anywhere from 30 to 40 Division I football players in a class, right? Several of them have gone other places. Last year, before I was even named here, there were several players that had signed Division I NLIs, to other Big Ten schools, right? So there had not been a lot of scholarships given to Illinois players in the last 4 to 5 years, but it's something we really made as a point of emphasis. And it's not the same comparison, but it does remind me a little bit of some schools that have enough homegrown talent that they really don't go outside of it, right? Ohio, they go after all the top Ohio guys, right? Florida, the Florida schools make Florida schools important. Illinois, there's enough Division I talent now. If there's 35 guys, we can't sign them all. But if we go after, 15, if we can get 8 to 10 of those a year, I think we can build something pretty good from within, and hopefully good things happen.
Couple Florida guys mixed in, a couple New Jersey running backs. So that does start to sound a lot like Wisconsin. You get the big boys from here, get a couple skill guys from elsewhere.
You know, it was amazing. We were we had a Saturday media day, and we do a state-by-state photo, right, for recruiting. And I saw the Florida photo, and there was actually more scholarship players from the state of Florida than there were from Illinois. And I don't think that's the recipe for success, but it did remind me a lot. I remember when we went to our first Rose Bowl at Wisconsin, I remember USA Today wrote an article that we had more scholarship players from the state of Florida than any school in the country other than the Florida schools, Florida State, Miami, UCF, South Florida. So I think that's a good connection. It's a good thing. We have tapped back into Jersey, but the foundation has to be here in Illinois. And then we got to sprinkle in around us, right? We got to go into Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio, and kind of do our best in Missouri to pull some of those into our state as well. They come in and try to pull ours out. We got to go in there and try to pull some of theirs in.
Yeah, Coach, now that college football, because of the way things are going with conferences, what's your opinion of these super conferences that seems like something is evolving every day? And then how does that change like your job recruiting? Does that change it?
Yeah, it most certainly does. I even kind of said it at Big Ten Media Days. I just felt after that COVID year, and at the time we didn't know any of this other stuff was going to be coming out, but you just felt like something's changing in Division I football with the TV packages and the power conference and the things that have kind of evolved really in the last 10 years, and then the whole transfer portal and it just felt like something's kind of moving in a direction that no one really maybe knows exactly what it is, but there's definitely going to be some movement. So I think it's an exciting time. It's obviously a lot bigger than the conversations I'm going to have here in Champaign in this office, right? It's bigger powers that need to be. But I think the greatest thing we can do is, for us at Illinois is continue to build our brand the best we can, right? The good news is, like you said, there hasn't been a lot of success in the past, but the window to improve that is great. And that's what we got to focus on is don't dwell on what's behind us, just worry about what's in front of us. And if every day we move forward, we hopefully got a chance to be better in the end.
So I have like a little recruiting idea I want to pitch to you. I'm sure Coach Belichick has a lot of respect for what's going on at the University of Illinois program. Like, would you ever bring him down to like talk to some players or recruits or families? Like, is that relationship staying close?
Yeah. Coach Belichick and I had a relationship before I went to work for him, during when I worked for him, and obviously has continued since I left. I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago, just kind of a guy that I've always used and will continue to use as a sounding board. Just different things coming at you as a head coach from, COVID protocols, possible, losing guys with quarantine, all kinds of different things. And just general shoot the breeze situation. But, coach is probably in pro football for a reason. I can't see him popping on many recruiting visits. But he is a guy that I literally was a utopia of football on a daily basis. The knowledge that he dropped and the things I gained from him in a 2-year window was absolutely a game changer and something I've really applied every day into our program here from the time we walk in the door to the time we leave. A lot of the stuff that I've regurgitated from knowledge with him, it's been a fun time. But I would also say one of the growing parts for me was when we got there, the things that we shared commonly just through the way that we had kind of run our programs in the past. It was really an enjoyable time for me to kind of, jump in and talk chop and have a little bit of information sharing business along the way.
Yeah. So like, what does, take it as detailed as you want, but like, what is a defensive consultant for literally like the greatest defensive mastermind in the history of football do?
Well, my official title was a special assistant. I actually didn't even really, when I began to talk to him, I didn't even know where this was going to go. He just kind of asked me to kind of stay aboard, and I worked with a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense, special teams, did a lot of player development stuff. Really was an enjoyable time because he is really a guy that just makes it simple, right? The things that he says and does, he doesn't complicate things. The game of football is a pretty simple game, right? And the more you can dummy it down and make it learnable for all players, right? Guys with high football IQ, guys with low football IQ. If they can learn it, they'll play well for you, right? So that part was really just a simplistic view of how he made the game. I think was something that I took from him on a daily basis, and then just the everyday approach. Like, you really truly in today's world can outwork your opponent, right? You can work better, you can work more intelligent, be more diligent, you can be more efficient. And that's what he was constantly stressing to us. And there was just such a tremendous pressure in that building to be the best at your job, right? Everybody has a job to do. Do your job, quote that he has on all the shirts and all the things in our program. There's content to that. That's real, right? Everybody in that building knew when they walked in the door to the time they left, they had a job to do for the rest of that building to have success. And if you didn't do it, you were definitely going to pay the price for that, and obviously didn't want to let the guy next to you down.
That's a great story. It reminds me of the simplest thing. This is like a side note, personal story. My dad's best friend from college was the head coach at MIT, in Massachusetts, one of the finest engineering schools in the world. And some kid raised his hand and said, "Hey, coach, I noticed you got me blocking him at like a 45-degree angle. I think it would be better if I blocked him at a 38. I was like, "I don't give a shit. Knock him on his ass, okay?" And I think like that, like football, it's simple, universal, so I love that message. You did have a little nugget where you just said Coach Belichick belongs in pro football. Like, you can't imagine him on recruiting visits. What is it about college football that you love so much that you got drawn back to Illinois?
It's by far the development side, right? To meet a young man at 16 years of age, maybe 17, sometimes even younger, and you see him come in and you remember that first impression, right? You see a face, you see a body, you see a person that you realize is going to probably change a lot in the next 2, 3, 4 years. And the development of them physically is fun, but it's the emotional development, right? I tell kids all the time, listen, I'm not trying to be your brother, your dad, your uncle. I'm trying to be your head coach, right? I'm going to try to teach you some things that I have to get through to you to get you to a level of success where you can look around one day and say, hey, how the hell did this just happen, right? Like, how did this just happen? And if you can get guys to buy into that and get them to go to a place that they never imagined before, that's when some fun things really began to happen, right? And then there's also the personal stories along the way. I got 4 or 5 former players of mine now that are in this building who I literally met when they were young men who have had great success in a variety of different ways, but to see them grow into young fathers, young husbands, and people that are community, in our community, they're doing great things. It's not a cliche, it's real. Like, I really believe in the family element of this program, and I think it'll be a part of this program that eventually puts us over the top.
Hey, so a former player I got to ask you about, I'm curious, if he were to join your team, if Russell Wilson were to play quarterback for you guys right now, coming out of the Seahawks, he just suited up for Illinois, would you guys run the table?
Russ is a really good quarterback. The thing I would always say about Russ is he's probably at his best when it's at its worst. Most great players, especially the quarterback position, they're able to get themselves out of situations that come about that no one practiced, right? Like, Russ was actually better in moments where the defense knew what we might be doing and they were able to, make a defensive scheme or a call, and he knew how to adapt quicker than they could adapt to him. So that creativity level is a very unique thing. But bottom line, he's one player, basketball, wrestling, right? These sports that have smaller numbers. Obviously, wrestlers, there's only one guy on the mat at a time, right? Basketball, there's 5 guys, right? There's 11 guys that have to play efficiently on every given snap, and they have to be put in the right position by coaches to make success happen. So I think Russ is a very, obviously, an extremely talented player. He's an incredible person, a great competitor. I never make predictions, so I wouldn't say we're going to run it, but I would say that we'd probably be a pretty good football team.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, as a fan of Russ's, what did you wear to his wedding? Was that a nervous?
It was a suit. I can't remember what. I probably had no say in it. My wife. I do remember going over there. And I have a policy, right? I never go to a player's wedding. It's just the first wedding invite I ever got was to Joe Thomas's wedding, and I remember Coach Alvarez saying, "You can't go to it. If you go to one, you got to go to them all." And I never really thought of it that way. every week it was like you were getting a wedding invitation. Your former players, you love them, they love you. So I'd never really gone to one. And I remember when Russ's wedding invitation came through, my wife's like, "Hey, we're going to this one." I'm like, "Where's it at?" And she said, it's actually going to be in Liverpool. And I saw the band, the band for after the wedding was Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm there." I'm good.
Whole different
So
ball game. The wife
bit of
can
an
just
exception.
veto this policy you've had in place for 20 years. Like instantly, yeah, who we're going? Okay, policy's in the trash.
Well, and it was in a castle too, so like it was just like. And Sierra was there too, which obviously has its own benefits in itself, right?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of different things.
You got to
working.
say yes to that.
Yeah.
What about uniform stuff? There's been some rumblings in the fan base recently that, we want to bring the old helmets back. Do you have any flavor from when you used to play against Illinois where you're like, oh, I like that style? Or like, there's some kind of maybe style changes we can see from the team?
Yeah, there's some little things that I definitely believe in. And it's probably more about, building an identity, right? Like I think the more you have variation, it's great for Oregon, right? Like they've made a niche out of that and it's kind of their deal. But I think for Illinois, the more consistency we have, the better off we have a chance to being consistent on the field. I think the more we look like a football team, the more we might act like one, right? So there's definitely going to be a few things coming at the fan base, but that's why you got to buy a ticket on the 28th or put yourself in that position. But I think our guys have been very responsive. I love the block eye. There's definitely some things in the history of Illinois football that people will identify immediately with us on the 28th. And the great thing is, as this thing's kind of unfolded, our players have just been so eager there's been no resistance. It's been like, hey, coach, what can we do? How can we do this? And I think they're looking for an identity as well.
I love that. I think the uniforms have gotten out of control. So you put your stake in the ground like this is our brand. I think that's going to do wonders. So I'm pumped to hear that. It's like the old quarterback thing. If you have two, you don't have one. Illinois just got to have one identifiable uniform every Saturday. Love that, coach.
Yeah, and especially if we're honoring the 2001 team on the 28th against Nebraska. I'm very excited. It's the first college football game of the season, I believe. Is that a message you're telling the guys? Hey,
Absolutely.
They're putting you guys in prime time, first game kickoff.
Yeah, to have the ability to kick off the college football season, especially after the year we just had, right? With a year that was unprecedented and games canceled and postponed and derailed to be the opening kickoff at noon on the 28th is absolutely one of the best things that could ever happen for Champaign-Urbana right here in Memorial Stadium.
So I got one more for you, Coach. It's an opportunity. There's going to be a lot of players that'll get a ton of credit and recognition in the spotlight on Big Ten Network, on ESPN, all this stuff. Is there any walk-on, maybe a fifth-year senior, true guy just been around the program for a couple of years that's really stepped up for you since you've come in and you've been impressed? Whether or not they get any playing time this season or not, but is there somebody we can give some credit to and shout out here?
You know what? That's a great quote. When I walked into that team meeting room after their last game last year at Penn State, I afforded everybody the opportunity to come back, right? The NCAA said anybody that's a fifth-year senior that wants to come back for their sixth year, we'd love to have you. So I've had a number of non-scholarship players return, some 6 years, some fifth year, fourth year. But I would say I don't want to create too much hype, but I think he's a guy that can handle it. Alec McCarron, who's an inside linebacker who's been a very impressive young man since I got here, has been a guy that really has stood up and counted and has been a consistent performer at the linebacker position. So I am excited to see exactly what he's going to do in the opportunity that he has in front of him. He's very, very talented, has high football IQ, got a great motor, very coachable. I think he's got some very good football in front of him here at the University of Illinois.
I love that. I think we might be doing a show this year where we give out neck rolls as just for like a hard-nosed defensive linebacker type guy. So maybe we'll add him to our watch list for that award.
It's a good I would say a good leverage on your app if you want to do that.
All right, like that a lot.
Coach, thanks so much for spending time with us and giving us some insight into what's going on at Illinois and some changes to the program. You have a ton of fans in the Chicago area. There's a lot of people that are pulling for you guys, and we're just I'm so excited to see where the program goes, and you're the guy for it.
Well, Carl, I know you're a Cubs fan. I'm a Cubs man. They want me to throw out the first pitch, but I don't have a strong arm. So if I go back next spring, I'm gonna rely on you to give me some tutoring on some throws of the baseball. If that's good.
Perfect. Office is right down the street. We'll get your arm loose and walk you down. Maybe have a couple beers on the way there.
Appreciate it, John. Have a great one, man. ILL.
Hey, I. Thanks, Coach.